Yeah.
Alright, gentlemen, so first of all, again, my name is Raul Diaz. I'm a trainer directly at Views. And today what we're going to talk about is, and Bernie, let me give you one of these. I know I gave Richard one.
Okay.
There we go. We are going to talk about the System Administrator Portal. So what this is a website where you'll be able to manage the profiles for the end users. Really, that is what we're going to talk about today. And if you look at the information on the cards, we're going to talk about how to onboard a new representative. We're going to talk about how to remove a representative leaving the company, how to reset voicemail passwords, how to reset the portal passwords, and those are really going to be more for executives that are going to be using the actual information.
Yeah, that's you.
As well as the capability if somebody gets locked out, how to unlock them out, some basic information towards that.
Okay.
So really this is going to be the management of the profiles, the end users dealing with that. If you do need to manage some of the other functionality, which we'll talk about, such as the call flow. The call flow will be the automated system that directs the callers to the appropriate destinations. I'll show you how to manage that as well. So we'll talk about all of those informations. Now, gentlemen, the one thing I will let you know, normally these training sessions would take around 3.5 hours to get them all done. They've allotted an hour and a half. So, questions, anything you gentlemen want to find out, if I'm not clear enough, let me know. We are going to do this in a live environment, a demo environment, so I'm going to show you how to do it, what you can expect, any little caveats to it. But any questions you might have, jump in at any point in the moment. I have absolutely no problem with that.
Okay.
Alright, so first things first, where you're going to go to access this. This is actually going to be located at views.com. You go to views.com, and once at the website, you'll actually go over to the login option. Now, in the login option, you're going to see two different options: video conferencing and customer portal login. What you'll do, tap the customer portal login. And if I'm moving too fast, just let me know.
No, go ahead.
Right, so you'll be prompted for your username and password. Now, first things first, usernames and passwords. You both will receive an email. That email is going to contain your username and it's going to contain a temporary password. What you gentlemen will need to do, follow the instructions in the email, which is really log into the website with that information. Right off the bat, you'll be prompted to change that temporary password to a permanent password.
Now, how many people are going to have access to this
To
portal?
the administrative, actually all the executives are going to have access to the portal, but at what we call an end user level. That means they'll be able to take a look at some of the basic information, like we see here, their voicemail information.
Okay.
So GM receives a voicemail, he or she will be able to come onto the website, listen to the voicemail, delete the voicemail, forward the voicemail, download it if they wanted to.
Okay.
They'll also be able to manage their extension settings and their voicemail settings. That means they can actually have the voicemail sent to your email address. With you gentlemen, you would have the administrative capabilities. That means not only can you manage your basic information on your devices, but you also have what are known as UC configurations, contact center, and billing information. You guys have the whole
We're
gamut.
going to go everywhere. Okay.
Exactly.
All
So
right.
not only can you manage your information, you can manage everybody else's information.
Okay.
So executives will have access to this at an end user level. You gentlemen as administrators will have it as a 105 level. The
Okay.
entire store will have access to.
All right.
So coming back over to our home page, what you'll see by default will be home, my voicemail. But really the most important pieces are administrators, as administrators should I say, are UC configurations and the contact center. That's where we're going to find our call flow menu, which we'll talk about a little bit more in detail in just a bit. But what we're going to start off with is the UC configurations. In UC configurations, probably the transaction that gets requested the most from you gentlemen administrators are the capability of adding or removing users. So this would be an executive is coming on board, an executive is going out the door. Now, the way you would do so, you would actually come over to what is labeled as users. In users, what we will first see will be a list of all of the active users on our account, as well as the non-active users. Here you'll see a combination, active, no, yes, so on and so forth. So you'll always have access to this information. The username associated, or first name, last name, username, email address, and the account. Of
And will
course,
that be all the people for this store?
for your
For
location?
105,
That is,
okay.
that is correct.
Okay,
The only thing you will see here will be 105. That's it. You will not see any of the other stores. We have what are known as local administrative rights. Now, if you wanted to take a look at any of this information, let's say, for example, Adam is our GM here at the store. If I want to take a look at Adam's information, actually, let me go ahead and choose Alma because Adam's not active right now.
okay.
I'm going to go ahead and choose Alma. Once I click on Alma's listing, we'll give it a second here. And now we will have the capability of modifying the information for Alma if need be. One of the most common transactions that I've seen at other Neiman locations, usernames, they might be incorrect. A lot of times in the past, information wasn't kept up to date, so they tell you, hey, extension 7200 is showing up under Bob Smith, it now belongs to John Doe.
Okay.
Not a problem. Let's come in here and you'll locate the information first, and then we can adjust the name if we need to. Scroll down towards the first name, last name combination, adjust that information.
Oh, okay.
Other things you can do, if, for example, you gentlemen are told, you know what, we're going to give you guys another administrator, this other person is going to work with you all. You, as the overall hierarchy leader, administrators, you will then have the capability of turning anybody else into an administrator. So they tell you, okay, Michael needs administrative capabilities. Not a problem. You can go into Michael's profile and you can adjust the information that is available. So account administrator, customer administrator, so on and so forth. Now, here's the one thing to know about this. One, you're probably never going to have to do this. And the second one is, in case there is that scenario where they tell you, well, we need to create a new administrative profile, the correct bundle or service plan needs to be available for that user. And here's what I mean by this. Every single user, every single DID or phone, whatever you might want to call them, is tied into what is known as a bundle. Certain bundles have certain capabilities. Administrator bundles will have access to reporting and analytics capabilities. Something that most companies will say, well, we have X amount of admins, that's all we need right now. And then down the road they say, you know what, we do need another admin. In that case, that's where you're going to work with the Neiman support team, the help desk, as well as your Fuse team. You can contact Catherine or Marina or even Yolanda Evans, and they will get you squared away with making sure that that information is appropriate. Make sure the right bundle. Again, like I said, probably something that's not going to happen, but
Yeah.
just to give you an idea. Now, we scroll down the list, a couple of other things we can take a look at. Some of the different capabilities they have, like voice dialing permissions. Can they call internal? Can they call external? International capabilities. So that's another one. Sometimes we get locations. Let's say, for example, I was in Las Vegas last week, where they said, hey, this telephone number just doesn't want to do international calls.
Yeah.
Not a problem. So go ahead and take a look at it. Well, is international allowed? It wasn't. So then we have to add that functionality. So it's as simple as clicking on the checkbox, and you'll scroll down to the bottom and update the information. Now, usually updates for the provisioning period can take up to 4 hours. To be quite honest with you, it doesn't really take that long, but that's the estimate we give our customers. So the reason we bring this up, because let's say, for example, you call the Neiman's support help desk. You tell them, hey, I added international. First thing they're going to ask you, how long ago? Oh, about an hour or two. The SLA they receive for views is 4 hours. So they'll tell you, give it a little bit more time.
Okay.
So it'll save you some time and a little bit of a headache too, going through all that stuff. Down at the bottom, this is, again, something you all should know, probably you're never really going to use. This is the portal login information for this particular user. So if our user here, Alma Diaz, reaches out to you guys and says, hey Bernie, I tried to log on to the website to listen to my voicemail and it's just not happening. Unlock me. Well, what you can come in here is look at her profile and you can take a look at it. Did she even log in? When was the last time she logged in?
Okay.
Is she locked out because she used the password incorrectly too many times? Okay, it's locked out, then there's a valid reason for you to reset the password. The password change required on next login, that is not necessarily something that you will be using, because Neiman decided to go with one password for X amount of time. There is no time frame for that update to take place.
That's probably better for our people.
It,
Yeah, we'd be getting so many calls.
Exactly. But if there is that rare scenario where a reset is required, it does need to happen. You gentlemen as administrators can come down here to the very bottom and you can do the reset password.
Now, is there so many digits or characters required in that password?
Excellent question. There is. Once they reset the password or you reset them for them,
Okay.
this is the easy part for you. What we recommend, use the generate random password. The system will give them a random password. Remember, this one is a temporary password they're being sent out.
Yeah, okay.
So you're going to choose that option and then do force change password on next login and choose the send welcome email. The reason why you want to choose a send welcome email is because if you tell them, it's going to be reset, they don't know what that temporary password is. You need to send them the email. So they'll receive the email, they'll click on the link, and the email is going to tell them the specifics.
Okay.
The specifics are minimum 6 characters, maximum 15 characters.
So 6 to 15.
One capital letter and one number.
Okay.
So it does have to be something a little bit more secure. So that is what you have available there on the reset password.
What was the other one? The other one says generate random password.
Generate random password. That's what you want.
Or you could give them use the password.
If you decide, okay, I'm going to give you a temporary password, then you don't have to choose a send welcome email, and you can say your password is Topanga 105 with a capital T. You can tell them that if you want to. Like again,
I think
we'll give you the option.
Yeah, I think the easiest way to do is have them use their PIN number, right? What do you think?
There's no letter in it.
Yeah, oh yeah, it has to have a letter in it.
It does. It
Yeah,
does. It
okay.
has to be 6 characters long, as at least one capital letter.
Is there a reason for that?
I'm sorry?
Is there a reason for that? It has to be so secure?
Security, because it's voicemail. Voicemail can be downloaded. So
Okay.
I'm not saying that might be an issue here at Neiman's, but we've heard with other scenarios where somebody left it logged in, all of a sudden you have an entire download of somebody's voicemail that might not be too.
So you said at least one capital letter.
At least one capital letter.
And one number.
And at least one number.
Okay.
That's
All right.
correct.
Okay. All right. That's good to know. Yeah, and at least 6 to 15.
They can just call the help desk though to get that done. If it's a Saturday,
Actually,
and we're not here.
Yeah, if that's the case, that's correct. And like I said, this one is probably something you're probably not going to have to do as much because only the executives are the ones that are going to have the access to the end user portal for this.
Yeah.
All the sales team members that are out on the floor, they're not going to have access to this.
So we're not putting those phones out on the floor, is that correct?
Exactly.
Not
exactly.
yet, anyway.
These are all going to be back office ready.
Back
There's
office.
a couple. I'm not sure about this location, but I know in Las Vegas there was only a couple of areas like the Louis Vuitton store, but I believe there's no Louis. Right?
No, not right now. Yeah.
So yeah, Louis was one. I believe the Prada out there also got the new phones, but the rest stuck around with the old ones.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, that's why you don't have to worry so much about this. This is really more for the executives when it comes to that.
Yeah, and they're not going to probably change. They're pretty good, I hope. Yeah.
Let's cross our fingers.
Yeah.
Now, also here's an example of somebody. Let's say general manager says, you know what, Michael's moving on to the Newport Beach store. We need his information to be deactivated from our store. Not a problem. What you can do, access his information. So let's just say this is Michael. Deactivate user. And what you do here, it's going to ask you, do you really want to unassign all services? Yes, you do. You'll press OK, and now his profile is no longer attached to the service. Best way to think about this is the phone is the actual service, and your user, your sales rep, your executive is that user profile. The user profiles and the service, the phones, are tied in until you decide to separate them. If you decide to separate them, user leaves the company, goes to a different store, just go ahead and deactivate their service. What this does, this now frees up the service. If they tell you, all right, well, we have Jane Doe who's going to take over from Michael starting on Monday, then you gentlemen will have the capability of creating a new profile. And I'll show you how to do that in 1 second. Now, one thing I will alert you to, the delete option. A lot of times people will see this, administrators will see this, and they're like, well, I deactivate the user, let me delete them as well. You can do that, you don't have to do that. And here's the reason why I bring this up. Because if you do delete a user, that means you also deleted all of the information that ties the service to that user. And here's why this is important. Let's say, for example, we wanted to have access to Michael's voicemail. There's important voicemail, we need to pass that along to our general manager. Well, it's going to be a little bit easier to look for the old Michael profile than instead of having to look for the MAC address that belonged to that phone and find that information.
Okay.
So what I recommend, deactivate the user. You're perfectly fine. Nothing's going to happen there. And if they say, you know what, we need to pull Michael's old information as far as his voicemail, can we access it? Yeah, not a problem. And I'll show you where you can do that. You just pull up Michael Olivas. There we go, all the voicemails that he saved.
So it's good not to delete the user out.
And it is. I mean, you can go either or. And if, in some cases, if you know there's absolutely no reason that we're ever going to pull up call records or voicemail for somebody that departed the company, go ahead and delete them. But the reason I bring this up, a lot of times where I've dealt with companies, one of the reasons they're deleting users is because they might have done something against the rules and there might be some sort of investigation.
Yeah.
If you do that, you delete the user, can you pull the information? Yes, you can. But it's going to be a little bit more of a headache for you gentlemen to go look for numericals and all that stuff. So again, not deleting the user will be beneficial to you.
So when you deactivate this user on this particular one here, then do you add the new one right into this one, or?
Excellent question. No, that's a perfect segue to what we're going to talk about too now. So now what we've done is we've freed up the phone, we've freed up the service.
Yeah, you did. Okay.
So what do we do now? What we're going to do, we're going to go over to the top. I canceled it. And what we're going to do is we're going to click Add New.
Okay.
Because what we're doing now is we're adding a new profile.
Okay.
So when we are asked to create a new user, they tell you, Bernie, Jane's coming in on Monday, get her set up. All right, perfect. We're going to go ahead and create all of the information for Jane. We're going to create her user ID, and the user ID should stay the same. You should follow the same consistency. And here's what I mean by that. Usernames are usually first initial, last name, dot, and the account code. Neiman, I've seen a combination. Sometimes I've seen email addresses, sometimes I've seen that first initial, last name. What I would recommend to you gentlemen, once you have that email, you get the confirmation that your administrators, come into the administrator portal.
Okay.
Let me cancel out of this real fast so you can see where I'm going with this. I'm going to go over to Browse. Browse is always going to bring you back to the home page where you see everybody. And look at user ID and follow the same pattern. In this case, my fictitious company here uses the first name initial, last name, dot, and our account code. If Neiman's was doing the same thing, first initial, last name, dot, the account code, which I believe the account code is dot,
Should we just do that? Probably be better, huh?
follow that same pattern.
So we're going to go first initial, right?
Well, whatever's already in there,
Exactly.
we'll just keep doing.
Yeah,
Exactly.
whatever.
It
So have you
might
already
be
put stuff
different
in
at-
already?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's already been created.
Everything's already.
So we'll follow what you've
Just
already put
follow
in
the
there.
exact same thing.
Yeah, okay.
Follow what
All
the
right.
headquarters says. So excellent point you bring up there, Richard.
Yeah.
So
we,
go in there.
we'll be getting these pages.
Actually, it should be an email. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'll verify with Michael that he does send out to you. He's actually the one that printed those out. I apologize if he hasn't sent that over to you, but I know he's had a crazy day yesterday.
Okay.
So that is where you can take a look at the information.
Okay.
So now, all right, let's go ahead and create Jane Doe's profile. What we're going to do, add new, and now we're going to create all that. We're going to start off with the username, enter her email address, enter a password. Now this is a temporary password as well. This one you are creating. And again, it had something basic. I know with other stores they've done like summer 16 or fall 2016, spring 16, something like that, as long as you get the numericals, because it's not going to really matter. As soon as this new employee comes on board, they're going to receive the email, they're going to click on it, and the first thing it's going to say, change your temporary password.
So we could put in like, the capital S like for store 105.
Well,
Yeah,
just put in their
that would be
NMID.
Huh?
Just put in their NMID.
Yeah, we could do that too.
But
yeah.
here's the question.
Sure.
What if they want to keep it?
They can't. That's a temporary password, and that's why I said use something basic.
Yeah.
So we'll tell them to use that as their password, so it'll be easier to remember. But
Yeah, you can advise them to
and
that.
then we'll just make it something easy, like the Topanga or
I'll
something.
probably put that in.
Like I said, with other locations, I know especially Neiman Marcus being in the whole seasons and all that stuff, they'll do summer 16, fall 15 or 2015, so it can kind of meet that. That was a store out in Roosevelt Field. They were listed
Yeah.
in.
What'd they end up doing in Vegas, did they say? Do you
In
remember?
Vegas, they were actually going to do, I know they told me and I forgot it, completely forgot. I think they were going to do like Fashion 16 or something like that.
Okay.
So yeah, and like I said, the first one doesn't really matter a whole lot because the end user is actually going to change that out.
Yeah, I just think this store and the
Yeah, you can definitely do. I mean, you can
I mean,
definitely do Topanga 105. It'll meet all the requirements.
Yeah.
yeah, and
So,
store wherever. Store
Once
level.
you've gotten that first name, username, and then the roles, that's really the important piece. If it's just going to be an executive, they're not going to have any administrative capabilities. Again, chances are you're never going to have to build an administrative one, but here's where you have the roles. Every user that has access to this should have portal usage and BCX end user usage. That means they have access to the voicemail and access to the website where they can listen to the voicemail.
And that's all they need?
That's all they need. If it happens to be that it's a new administrator that's coming on board, then that's when we start adding the reports and analytics, account administration, customer administration, and BCX administration. That's what you would do there. But like I said, that I've yet to come across a Neiman's location that added additional administrators.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna either.
Down below, again, more information, telephone number, mobile number, and here's where things get a little interesting. Your primary locations. Well, for you all, you're really going to have only one. It would be Topanga. So we click on the drop-down 105, locale, of course, United States, and the departments. With the departments, those are being used, so you'll have precious jewelry, you'll have handbags, you'll have Chanel, you'll have cosmetics, so on and so forth. That's if you're dealing with somebody that's going to be maybe a manager downstairs. If it's executive, there's actually an executive area as well. You can just choose executive and you're good to go.
Yeah.
So all the different departments are actually going to be available for you to choose from. So that is information that should be given to you, gentlemen. If they tell you, we need a new profile. All right, well, this is what I need from you. Person's name, person's email, or unless you gentlemen also create the email profiles. But this information should be basic information. They should give you, right, what department are they going to be based at, things of that nature.
Okay.
Once that's created, down at the bottom, that's where you have the restrictions. Everything is going to be turned on automatically. You can remove stuff if needed. Do you want to allow internal calls? Of course you do. Allow domestic calls, same thing, you do want to do that. Allow international calls. That one is going to be dependent to the store. So I know, again, Las Vegas is a little different because they
They got a lot
have
of
people from all over the world. I don't know how frequently that happens out here in Woodland Hills. So maybe you do want to have it for executives only.
Yeah, I
Maybe you
think
wanna
you're
have it
right.
for one phone.
Yeah. What
It
do
all
you think?
depends.
Out of country?
that. Yeah, execs only, maybe, huh?
Nobody.
They really don't call, right?
You'll have to call and ask permission to do it.
Yeah, we probably won't. Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
probably
again-
deactivate it.
Again, it's going to be store by store. I mean, Vegas makes a whole lot of sense because you have people from around the world.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was helping out customer service alone in the first hour that they were open. They were needed to call Mexico City, and they also needed to call England. And that
Yeah.
was within 1 hour.
They'll be the only
store.
one that would probably need that, though.
Who?
Customer service.
Like I said, that's something.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Does it cost more?
No, that's the one important piece. Remember, I talked earlier about the bundles. The bundles come with international long distance to 103 countries. Really, the most popular countries around the world.
Yeah.
Now, that brings up a really good point, and this brings up the next listing: premium. Premium are those outskirt countries that are not part of the bundle. Perfect example: Iran. I really doubt you're going to have customers from Iran out here in the States, but we do have global companies, and they're like, yeah, we were trying to place a call to Iran, and the call was like $200. It's a premium long distance one that's not included in the bundle.
Yeah, we better uncheck that one.
So,
You're on the floor. Hey, Mom.
Hey, we got employees from everywhere. So
I walk into the sales floor and you hear all the
my
different
gosh.
languages talked downstairs.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so again,
Do you recommend unchecking that one, or what do you usually see on that?
most common one is that premium is the one that gets removed because that's the only one that's really going to give you additional charges. All the other stuff, allow internal, domestic, international, directory, platform, and email, that's all part of the bundle package itself. There's no additional cost for that.
When you talk about a bundle, is a bundle like we have so many extensions that we can put in there, our phones?
Great question. Actually, a bundle would consist of, let's say, for example, we have different. Actually, let me show you firsthand. Actually,
Okay.
I'll go into that next. But
Okay.
before I move out of that,
Yeah, keep going.
any questions on this so far?
That doesn't seem too bad. So then you just add at the very bottom when you're all done there?
Add and you're set to go.
Yeah,
The
that's great.
shell, the profile has been created. And what I'll show you next is how to take one-in-one, that service, that phone that's no longer being used, and now that empty shell is put them together.
Oh yeah,
And
we had to
marry
merge
up.
them together.
Yep. where I'm gonna
So,
show you.
so as soon as you deactivate it, that phone doesn't have that profile on it anymore? Is that,
Exactly. That's it. As soon as you deactivate the services, it's now.
it's like an
free
empty
agent.
shell or whatever, yeah, okay.
Exactly.
And anyone can make a phone call on it then.
You still can make phone calls out of it, but it's not associated to that particular user anymore.
Got it.
No. So that's where you can go ahead and move that number over to this new person.
Okay,
We're good to go.
okay, all right.
So what I was talking about a little bit earlier, the different bundles, and what I'm gonna send this out to Michael. I'm gonna send him a presentation that I have. You come over to billing, it's gonna give you two options: account details and the account summary. The account summary, what this does, this will give you a bird's eye view of what your account is actually made out of. And here's what I mean by this. It's going to show all of the different bundles I keep on mentioning. So in this case, my company is made up of a couple different things. I have some agent subscriptions, I have 5 queues, I have 2 main numbers, and then I have my users down here. I have 4 basic users, and I have 10 contact center agents. Now, what all this means to you is these are the different packages, those bundles, that in this case, Creative Keyboards, my fictitious company, decided to buy. So you can tell, well, I have a lot of contact center agents more than anything else. Well, who are my contact center agents? You can actually click on services, and with services, I'll be able to tell, okay, these are the DIDs, or the telephone numbers, that belong to agents. And an agent bundle is going to give me a little bit more of an option, more capabilities. They can use their hard phone, they can use a software-based phone, they can use an application on their mobile device, they have access to voicemail, they have access to record calls, to access those recordings. Those are all the different pieces that make up that bundle package. Now, these are all the telephone numbers that are associated to those particular bundles. I can see those up. Like, okay, out of my 10 contact center agents, those are all the DIDs or all the telephone numbers that are made up. But let's go ahead and take a look at the basic users. Well, a basic user, for example, basic user would be like your sales floor phones.
Okay.
All they need is access to the telephone. They don't need the fancy software on their computer because they're not using their computer as a phone. They don't need the mobile application. They don't even need voicemail because voicemail's not being used out there. So a basic profile is only going to give you a telephone number and a device to use it on. A contact center agent, well, they need calls to be delivered to them automatically. They might be using the phone on the computer. Those bundles have those different capabilities. And let me see if I can pull this up for you real quickly so that way you have a better idea of what to expect. Nothing you have to worry about here at Neiman, but
So our phones on the floor are still going to go through our PBX?
it's going to go actually through virtual PBX now. Everything is now going to be voice over IP. So these are the different bundles we offer. We have utility, basic, core, power, attendant, agent, and contact center. So here's the only reason why this might be important. When I gave the example I gave you all a little bit earlier, they tell you, you know what? Jane downstairs, she's being promoted to an executive. She's bringing that phone number with her. Again, never going to happen, but just to give you an idea. Well, she only has the basic usage. And if they tell you, well, she needs to send faxes, she needs to do the call recording, she needs to monitor all this, well, there's no way in heck you're going to be able to add those options because it's not part of the bundle package. That's when you would reach out to the support desk and say, or the Fuse team and say, all right, well, we need Jane Smith to be moved over to the power user. The power user has all of the features that she needs. That's where I mentioned you know, just because they tell you this person needs these capabilities doesn't necessarily mean they can actually have access to those capabilities, because they're actually tied into the different bundle packages we offer. Again, something you really are never going to deal with, but I'd rather just kind of get your feet wet with it and know, okay, well, is this person, you're asking me to turn them into a supervisor, you're telling me to move into an administrator. Can their profile even support that? If it doesn't have a power user package or above, then we know, nope, they're not going to have that capability. No way we can do it. You're going to have to take care of it on the back end through Fuse and the support team, and then we can manage it from here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just to give you an idea of what that is all about. So let me get out of here. We'll come back over to the actual environment. So now let's go back over and go over to UC configs, and I'm going to still deal with my users. So with my users, so we already created the new profile, and we now deactivated that profile. Actually, we're done here. What we're going to do next, we're going to click on the drop-down UC configs, and in this particular case, I am going to go down to devices. The reason I'm going down to the devices is now I'm going to give that phone to Jane, our new employee.
Okay.
So now we're going to go ahead and get rid of it. And here's where I would recommend, one of the reasons I recommend it, don't delete the user, deactivate the service, because the information is going to appear here. If they tell you, all right, Sam is the person that's leaving the company, perfect, Sam's right there, let me go ahead and click on Sam's profile. Actually, I apologize, clicked on the wrong one. Extensions. My apologies. Extensions. The extension is what we're changing the ownership of. Alright, so let's find one. I'll just pick the very first one. So extension 2285. It used to belong to Michael, employee that is moving on. We're now going to change the ownership to that new profile we created.
Okay.
So as you're going to see here at the very top, the very first option is change owner. You'll click change owner, and it's going to ask you, okay, well, who do you want to assign this to? And this is why it's important to create that shell, that empty profile. Now what we're going to do, all right, fine, we already created the profile. Let's go ahead and find it. Oh, well, there it is. Let's go ahead and click on that. Everything is changing. Now the new first name, the new last name, the caller ID information, and now you even have an option to delete and wipe the voicemail. Do you want to delete the greeting? Well, we do want to give our new employee a fresh start.
Yeah.
Do we want to delete the messages? Chances are we do. And of course, we're going to reset the PIN, because chances are the old employee didn't leave their PIN number. So let's go ahead and delete all that. It's going to ask you, do you really want to set this up for her? We would press OK. Our job is done there. The extension, the device, now belongs to our new employee.
And that's under edit extension. Okay.
That is it. That is UC configs and extensions. So other things you can do in here. Let's say, for example, you don't need to change the ownership of any user, but an administrator comes up to you and says, you know what, every time I call out of my office phone, or an executive should I say, they have my direct line number. I don't want people to be calling me directly. Not a problem. You have your caller ID settings down here as well. A couple of options actually. You can block the caller ID, so that way anytime an executive calls out, the caller ID shows up as private. You won't have access to it.
What about in-store?
Great question. Segue to what we're going to do next. So let's say, for example, anytime our salespeople call out, we don't necessarily want to have the direct extension appear. We want the customer service number to appear. Something that is usually done at all Nema's locations, and it's set up that way by default. But let's say, for example, one of those numbers slipped through the cracks. Well, what you do is you look for the extension. Once you find the extension, you would come over to external caller ID masking. And what you will choose is use another extension. And in use another extension, click on the drop down and you will find the customer service line. Or in this case, the main line for my fictitious company here. So that means when Valeria calls out, her extension's not being displayed. It's the main number. So if somebody misses a call and decides to call back to that number that showed up on the caller ID, what they're going to hear is, "Thank you for calling Creative Keyboards in Boston. If you know your party's extension, dial it now, or if not, press 1 for the directory." So again, this saves that extension from just being out there and anybody calling it directly whenever they want.
So this is still under the edit extension thing?
That is correct.
All right,
It's
okay.
all part of edit extension.
So yeah, that's a good idea. So external caller ID masking.
And like I
What
said,
do you think?
by,
Yeah,
I think
by
so.
default, it's already been preset. This is the one thing you gentlemen have to remember. We're not going to ask you to make any or do any of these changes from scratch. Everything has been set up for you. Everything will be tested for you. Tomorrow, you'll probably get to meet the Fuse project manager, as well as what we call a UCAS consultant. The UCAS consultant is the one that actually sets this up in the background. And we're testing everything out tomorrow. So that's why tomorrow, me as a trainer, I don't necessarily do this, but most of the time with Neiman's, I kind of hang around and make sure that things are working the way they're supposed to be working. If it's not working the way it's supposed to be working, that's the catch-all. The project manager and the UCAS consultant are like, all right, this phone isn't ringing, this caller ID doesn't show up. They'll take care of that tomorrow. They'll get all that squared away. This information really is for you folks a month from now, 2 months from now, a year from now. And if it's something basic, again, coming back to some of your concerns, Richard, well, what happens with XYZ scenario? We're not asking you all to go in there and be electrical engineers with the devices. The only thing you're handling for the view side, or on the view side, should I say, is basic profile administration. Nothing like that. Any other issues, you go through the normal protocols. You reach out to the help desk and say, hey, we have a phone that's not working. They'll send you a replacement. Hey, these phones are not synchronized correctly. They'll troubleshoot it. If it's something that can be handled through Neiman's, they'll take care of it. If not, that's when Fuse becomes involved. We do have that working relationship with Fuse. It's happened in other locations. The Roosevelt Field location in New York, that was a from scratch. They were a brand new store. So there was a
So it's easy.
little bit more. Hey, you'll be surprised. Sometimes it's a little different.
Yeah.
But same thing, up to this date. I mean, they opened, I think, back in February. There's things that they'll still call Fuse about. They've even reached out to me to see if I can do more trainings for them, and it happens. It's not one of these, hey, congratulations, guys, here's your new phone system, good luck. You're going to have the support both internally from Neiman's and from Fuse. All right, so other things you can do here, voicemail access. Somebody tells you, I'm not seeing any voicemails in my website. Well, you can actually come over here to manage voicemails, and you can take a look at it. Well, I do see one voicemail, and you can actually even listen to it, and they tell you, well, I don't see it. You can download it, and you can send it to them if you wanted to. Or if they tell you, this person left the company, they abandoned the job, we want all the voicemails that they might have left in their inbox. Not a problem. Download them, and you can send them away. So you gentlemen, again, as administrators, have access to the full shebang. If you wanted to be sneaky and listen to everybody's voicemail, like you have the time,
Like Jerry's?
you actually have the capability to do so. Other things you can do from here, if, let's say, for example, they want to have the setup, something I wouldn't recommend for you gentlemen, because executives, administrators, have the same access to it when it comes to the voicemail. The only difference is you have access to the voicemail at the entire store level, they have it at their level. Everything that you see here, for them, they can see it on their own. So if they tell you, I want to reset my voicemail PIN, not a problem. Log into the portal and you can reset your PIN. They'll be able to do it. You gentlemen have the time and decide, all right, I'll reset the PIN for you. Click reset PIN and enter a new 4-digit PIN number for them. It's up to you really, but not something you have to do. Anybody that has access to voicemail can go ahead and reset their own voicemail.
So when you do that reset pin, how many numbers you got to put in?
At least 4, maximum of 15 if you really want to go ultra security. But at least 4 characters for the voicemail.
But then when they do it, they got to put 6?
No. Remember, the 6-digit or the 6-character password, that's to actually access
To
their
get
website.
in the portal?
And,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
exactly, to
All right.
access the portal.
So the voicemail is 4, at
4
least.
digit PIN number, that's correct. Hey, Mike. Hey.
4
So, yeah,
It should just be their extension. So they'll need no two
extensions.
passwords.
That's a very good thing. Don't do the extensions, because here's what happens. If they use their 4-digit extension, next time they try to listen to their voicemail, it's going to ask them to reset their voicemail PIN. Here's the reason why. The default temporary PIN that Fuse gives all the end users is their extension.
Alright.
So they can't use it.
Well, let's use the standard one we use now.
You can do that. Another location said, okay, well, we can't do the extensions, we're doing the entire telephone number. Sure, if you want to do that, that's not a
So
problem.
you said up to 15?
Up to 15 characters.
4 to 15. Those
So-
are digits, okay.
4 to 15. So that's something that can be done.
So there's the long password. They'll need that just to operate your telephone?
That password will be used to access the website.
If they want to go on the
That's
web,
just that
maybe, yeah.
But if they're on the phone, they just want to get my email or get my messages,
All they have to do is press the message button, they get prompted for the PIN number, they enter the PIN number.
and they enter the PIN
Yeah,
number.
whatever that
That's
pin
it.
is, yeah.
That's
We
it,
should-
Richard.
Like I said, we'll just use the same PIN we use right now.
Wow, you guys already have something set up. Again,
I
everything.
guess they can just, they'll be prompted to make their own. So don't
Yeah, I
have to
think
worry
they
about
should all make their own, yeah, whatever. I'll never
it.
forget.
And so when you reset it for someone, you'll just put their phone number in because they'll be prompted to change it then,
Yeah,
right?
you can definitely do that.
Nice.
You can
Okay.
definitely do that. Gentlemen, so
Yeah, you'll
really,
put their extension number in for the reset,
For
and
the
they'll
reset.
reset those.
And they'll have to reset it.
Alright, okay.
really, those are the big pieces of the administrative part. Again, not a whole lot you gentlemen are going to do. This is more just to kind of give you a heads up of what are some of the capabilities.
So a lot of this is already set up, is what you're
Oh yeah,
saying.
everything's
It
gonna
should
set
all
up.
be set up.
Everything's going to be set up.
So there might be some tweaking, but shouldn't be much. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
We set the RF phones up for the person. Yours
Okay.
breaks. They give it to us. I set it up with an administrator rights and program a new phone and go, here's your new phone.
Yeah, you won't even have to worry about it, because with the RF phones, those RF phones are actually going to be showing up as an extension. So if we go over to users,
Mhm.
there's going to be, say for example, Michael. Michael will actually have 2 user IDs. He would have his desk phone, he would have his RF phone.
And a cell.
And the cell, well, the cell of course not going to show up here, but yeah, he'll have 3 devices.
The cell's not going to show up here?
Nope, this is all Fuse. So his cell phone is, what type of
It's
administration are you
supposed to be,
gentlemen doing?
his cell phone's supposed to be linked in
Well,
to
that-
his RF. Instead of his RF, he'll have a cell.
Well, no, he can do call forwarding for that. What I meant is
Oh.
it's not gonna be set up through here. It's like you're not gonna have access to any wireless information as far
Got it.
as the portal is concerned. For an example, his counterpart in Las Vegas, Alan Foster, he's the ops manager in Las Vegas. The way he has his system set up, phone call goes to his desk phone doesn't pick up after 3 rings, it goes to his RF phone. His RF phone doesn't pick up after 2 rings, it goes over to his mobile device, the iPhone. It depends. I've dealt with people who are like, you know what, I prefer my iPhone over the RF phone. This is in North Carolina, in Charlotte. Devin is his name. He has his phone ring, desk phone, rings 4 times. After 4 times, it goes straight to the iPhone. He bypasses his RF. It really all depends on how they want to set them up.
How do we set that up?
Actually, that's something you gentlemen don't even have to worry about. It's done through the phones. I can show you on the phones if you want to take a look at
It's done
how
through
the
the
call
phones.
forward is set up.
Can I have my RF and my phone ring at the same time?
It can be synchronized, and that's something that will be set up for you gentlemen on the back end. That is set up on the back end. It's not something that is controlled through the administrative portal.
We never answered the question of someone goes, my RF phone's broken,
Mm-hmm.
fix it. And so I'm just swap it out with the spare I have. How do I do that?
If you actually just need to swap out the device,
Yes.
then what you will be doing here, first of all, that phone, let me ask you this question. Right now, currently, do you have spare phones here on site? Or?
RF?
Yes.
Of course.
Okay, so you do have spare phones on site.
Because how many times does one drop in the toilet?
I-
And it's no good no more. And they go,
That question, I don't want to know.
and they go, fix it. They put in their back pocket.
First of all, I'll be like, yeah, give me some rubber gloves, and then we're talking. But no, I didn't. Right, so when it comes to that, let's say for example, here's a big thing. With Fuse, everything, of course, voice over IP. So that means the hardware needs to be loaded into the system. Think of this as inventory, if you will.
Okay.
So if somebody says, all right, we have this RF phone, it's busted, what you would need to do here is just come over to the change of ownership, and you're going to find those RF phones. And here's what I mean by that. So let me go over to my extensions again.
Extensions.
And this is where I can't 100% answer the steps on how it's done, but I'm just kind of using a generic overview.
Mhm.
This is what I've seen with other companies.
Mhm.
So let's go over to browse. Let's see if I have any that are deactivated. All right. Well, let's say, for example, and this is why I kind of asked if you gentlemen keep spares, because the actual phone needs to be tied into an extension. So here's what I mean.
That's
by
correct.
that. So when you have spare devices, you're actually paying for that service for that phone to be in a warehouse. Nobody's using it. So let's say, for example, those happen to be your spare devices. There's a monthly fee that's being paid for. So if that's the case, Bernie says, Richard, you know what? I just dropped mine from the roof. I was checking out the antenna up there. You need to get me one of those. Then what you're going to do is you're going to find the extension for one of those, because it has to be an extension associated to each one of those devices. And you're going to say, okay, well, that was extension 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're going to locate that extension 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, so it is a different, technically a different phone number in here.
It is. It's going to have a
All right,
phone
got
number
it.
that is not going to be the permanent.
I just want to know how we tied it in.
Yeah. So that is a phone number. And Bernie, of course, he has his number. He's not going to change his number. So what we're going to do, we're going to find that. All right, extension 1, 2, 3, 4. There it is. Go ahead and change the ownership, and we're going to switch this over to Bernie. Boom. Bernie's phone is there. We've swapped it around, get it up and turn it on, up and running. It's his. Now what we're going to do with Bernie's old phone, we're going to do the same thing over to that line. We're going to change the ownership to that line. The reason you want to do that is because the phones have warranty. You go through your help desk, you get that taken care of. If it's out of warranty, there's nothing on there, okay, forget about it, the phone's dead. You can follow your protocol.
We need a new one.
Yeah.
No matter what, we'll need a new phone.
Yep, exactly. So it needs to be replaced. So essentially what you're doing is you're just changing the ownership from a phone that's sitting in the warehouse, nobody's using it, or in your inventory room in your closet,
Right.
and we're going to switch it over to the person that's going to be using it. So
That's
it's just
correct.
a simple change of ownership that you're
And then the old phone, we switch that over to.
You could do that.
Yeah.
It's an extra step, but I personally recommend it. It's really your call if you want to go that way, Richard.
Because it should always have an address somehow,
Yeah, that's what I recommend.
even though it's a pile of
Yeah, dust now.
ripped up, broken.
Motherboard
Stop throwing
hanging
phones
out,
off the roof,
speaker.
man.
Yeah.
So then, when let's say we got to send one in and get a new one, will that one then come back up? How does it get back into those list of?
Change of ownership. It's all the same thing. Now, as far as like the actual hardware being loaded onto the website, you gentlemen will never do that.
But that will be loaded then when we get sent the new one by
If-
you guys.
If you have spares, like I said, I haven't come across any of the other locations that have spares. But if that is the case, if that's something here in Topanga, they will send out those devices. They will be loaded into the system. So you will all.
So if someone's phone breaks, basically I tell them 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 2 months, a year before your new one gets here. Because
I really doubted Neiman's headquarters would allow you to be without a phone for that long. Like
well,
I said,
it takes us a long time right now. Let's say this breaks, I write up a ticket for it. Then they send me a new phone. 3 months. That's why we have spares.
that's how long they
Yeah.
take you to get stuff.
I'm still waiting on one. It should have been here already because I want to send it off with you guys when you take the old someone takes the old phones away. But I got one still coming in the mail.
Yeah, I can't speak on Neiman's behalf, but I know with
But
let's just say,
sometimes that's how companies work,
uh,
which is
well,
fine.
That's kind of the scary part for it to take that long. Like I said, that's why I even asked about the spares on site. Some companies will keep spares on site. I've dealt with plenty of companies that don't keep spares on site. And there's a couple reasons they'll use that. One will be, what if we did hire a new employee and there's no employees that's left the company? What are we going to do? Wait till we order a phone, set up a new service? No, we have one that's up and running. It has a temporary number. Let's go ahead and assign that number to the new employee. So it depends. That's definitely from company to company. It's definitely internal. See how they want to go about that. But if
So
that
this will have a temporary number, and we're just going to switch this number to the new number.
exactly. You're just switching the ownership. That's exactly what you're doing. You're switching the ownership. So instead of having that number being under Topanga 105, and now is going to go to Bernie, and Bernie's number is going to take over that device.
So all you gotta do is change the name in it.
Change the ownership.
Ownership,
That's what
yeah.
you're doing.
Yeah. And then you probably take the other phone and switch it back to what the other one was before.
Exactly.
So like spare or
It's
something.
what we call a flip-flop.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
Now again, that is a generic protocol on how to do it.
Yeah.
But if Neiman's headquarters has any particular reason for not having spare devices here on site or anything like that, if they're taking that long, it's kind of scary. Like I said, that's something definitely needs to follow up internally with headquarters.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's costing Neiman's to keep that spare, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. What I've seen with other companies, again, just generic information, customers will put those core plans, what I mentioned earlier, nobody's going to be using it, so why spend X amount of money when I can spend just a couple bucks to have
Yeah.
those spares running? For them, it's good business, so it depends. But based on what you told me, I would definitely double check it. It's kind of scary when you have to wait that long for a phone to come in.
We don't know how long, where these are going, or how long that company might take.
Well,
So we don't know yet.
Yeah, it all depends. I mean, I've had customers where we talked about RF phones. They might not. Some companies didn't even know about the RF phones. I train them today. Tomorrow they receive them because they place the order the same day. So I mean, it's like anything else. It depends how fast you want the equipment, how much you want to spend, all that stuff. That's all is going to come into play. So I can't really speak on Neiman's behalf, but if you needed the equipment, it can be overnighted. At least through when they're purchasing product through us.
We're pushing for you, of course.
So that's the thing. But those phones can be bought through different locations, CDW, and there's tons of other resellers. So, but I digress. Let's come back over here because I do want to be respectful of your time. So that's really the basic management of the end user. Now the only other thing we're going to talk about today is the call flow. The call flow. This is the automated system. Again, the automated system will be set up for you tomorrow. One of the big changes, no longer at the end of the night does somebody have to go turn on the after hours recording. It's going to be all automatic. So the store closes at 8 p.m. or what time is it?
8 p.m.
Okay, so at 7:59 p.m. a system is going to automatically trigger. Thank you for calling in, Marcus. We're now closed. Blah, 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 blah. Tomorrow, store opens 10 a.m., correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. At 10 a.m. Pacific time, it's going to start ringing. So somebody calls, it's up online. Same thing, 7:59 p.m., boom, shuts off. On the weekends, Sundays, special hours, correct? Sundays
Yeah,
closes
Sunday.
at 6, I believe? Or
7.
7, all right. Same thing. 6:59 p.m., new recording starts. Nobody has to do something special on their phone or on the console. The console doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah.
They don't have to do anything fancy. Everything is automatic. Same thing, headquarters is handling as far as the holidays are concerned, special hours for the holidays, special voice messages, like when they call in, if they need to have a special recording, please don't forget we'll be closed for Christmas Day, whatever it might be. All that is being handled from headquarters. But what if they tell you, you guys are a little different, you need to modify this because you will be staying open. And I know
Yeah,
this
all
will
of a
never
sudden
happen.
they might change
Christmas
it.
season.
Yeah,
Our hours change daily.
let's say for example. how
And,
is
and
that?
sometimes you'll get a call and they'll say, we want the store open an extra hour today.
Mhm. So now you
And
gotta-
you're home.
Well, that's the beauty of this. You can actually access this from any internet-connected device.
Nice.
If you gentlemen, I really, knock on wood, hopefully won't be bugging you at 7 p.m. Hey,
Don't
change-
worry, man.
Change
Don't
the
worry.
recording. I hope they pay you guys really well, man. You guys are giving me some horror stories over here.
Gosh, yeah, well.
Either that or
We're
some
worried
of the,
about all contingencies.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of stuff, you
You wanna
know.
have all the bases
either that
covered?
or some of the other engineers are just broken down. They don't tell me as many horror stories as you guys. Alright, so where that comes into play, that is going to be known as your call flows. So you're going to go into your call flows.
So that's under,
That is under contact center,
okay,
and that is where you would then access the call flow option.
call flow, okay, call flow.
And again, something, knock on wood.
We probably will hardly be in here yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
I really doubt it because everything is managed on the back end of this. But just in case there's...
So who kind of loads the holidays in? Neiman's tells you guys, or someone from corporate tells you guys kind of what's going on?
Corporate is handling all that stuff as far as the information is concerned, to my understanding.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, all that is going to be squared away. The schedule has already been squared away according to what Lehman's considers a holiday schedule. So let me go start off by showing you this. So if I go over to schedule, and this is just, again, my fictitious company, there's different schedules. I have my after hours, my business hours, my holiday tests, or my US holidays and this test. So if I wanted to take a look at, all right, what does my US holiday schedule look like? This is what is loaded into the system. Now, of course, a retail environment's going to be a little different because you might not necessarily be closed on President's Day, on MLK Day, on Memorial Day, on 4th of July, or
Those are big selling days.
Exactly, big sales, things like that. So let's just say we need to tweak this. Again, something you won't do, we're going to get this squared away for you. We're saying, okay, well, there's Black Friday. Of course, we never close on a Black Friday, but let's say, oh, we need to close on Black Friday. That's where you would do add schedule element, and then you can add that new rule to it. Now, the way the rules apply, you can do it hours, days of the week, days of the month of the year. Now, this is where it comes in very beneficial. Well, we know Black Friday is an all-day event.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and skip hours, and we're going to go to the day of the week. Well, it's Black Friday, so it's going to be a Friday. So it's going to start Friday. And what day of the month is it? Well, you know,
It changes every year.
That's a great thing. So this is what we're going to do. We know it's the last week of November. So that means in the last week of November, well, you only really have 7 days of the week. So that is going to fall anywhere between the 22nd and the 29th. It's never going to be the 30th because that would be on the weekend. So 29th. So that means Black Friday, earliest it's ever going to be, it's going to be the 22nd. The latest it's ever going to be, it's on the 29th. Perfect. So what month is it? Well, it's the day after Thanksgiving, so it has to be in November. So the way our system works, every day starts at 0 o'clock hours because we do use military time. I'm not showing it here, but I'll show it to you in the after hours or anything like that.
Okay.
First thing it's going to say, all right, what time of the day is it? Do we have special hours for this time? Are we open? Are we closed? Okay, well, there's no special hours. All right, fine, no special hours. What day of the week is it? It's a Friday. Boom, it's a Friday. All right, so we got our first hit. What day of the month is it? Well, today's the 25th of November. All right, we got a second hit. Is it November? Yes, it is. All right, boom. So it's Friday between the 22nd to the 29th in November. All right, we're going to play our automated message. Thank you for calling Neiman Marcus in observance of Black Friday. We're closed today, whatever that might be. So that's it. Our schedule's now been created. But again, in the retail environment, let's just say it has been added. Of course, it's never going to be added because headquarters already went through this and they scrubbed it. And they say, all right, we're going to have a special message that we're closed on President's Day. Well, that's a big no-no. We're open on President's Day. Get rid of it. Close on the X, and that's it. And I won't tinker with that one. But your new message is going to play for those holiday hours. Now, as far as after hours are concerned, or business hours are concerned, same thing. Now, here's the key difference for the hours. The time element does come into play. And we go based off a 0 to 23:59 hour day. So what does that mean to you all? Well, that means your beginning of your business day is your when the store opens. So let's say, for example, our creative keyboards company here, or should I say our after hours, or when it closes, we close at 5 p.m. So that is 1,700 hours.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do that all the way to 23:59 because that's the end of the actual physical day.
Okay.
But right below that, we're going to start again because we're not open at midnight. We're not open till 9 or 8 a.m. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to switch this over to 0 hours, midnight,
Yeah.
and my after hour message is going to end at 7:59 a.m. It should say a.m. or in the morning, sorry, 7:59, and that is Monday through Friday. So that way my system knows, okay, it is now 5 o'clock on the dot, we're closed, the message is going to play. At midnight, does it say, well, do you have any special operation hours in the middle of the night? Nope, we don't. It's let's continue with the out of office. Yes, Richard, sorry.
And that's just for like when they call the store, the main
Exactly.
number. But what if they call the restaurant?
Well, actually, the restaurant is going to be tied in to the actual call flow system as well, because this is the actual call flow system for the entire location, so for all of 105. If
I mean, they have a separate phone number.
Correct.
You can call them direct.
Exactly. So if they have that direct number, they are going to be a piece in what we call a menu.
Okay.
So if they go, here you can see we have a couple of different numbers. We have a main menu, a Boston main menu, and even hours of operation. So let's say, for example, and I haven't heard the call flow here, but if I know the direct number, you know what, I'm going to place an order from the Neiman's restaurant. I call Neiman's extension 7100. I dial the number, I'm going to hear that voice recording, whatever it might be, or the menu delivering me to them. Same thing, at the end of the business day, if they're part of the call flow, then it will launch it. Yes, sir.
But what if they're a different call flow?
That's not a
That's my
problem.
question.
Yep.
There might be a drop-down menu with them in it, and they might get their own messages that are automatically put in from corporate.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, no, it's all possible. Depends on.
I'm just wondering if that it's possible that could be done now.
It is definitely possible, and that's where. Let me ask you this question, gentlemen: were you involved with any of the project meetings? Okay. Usually, and I've gotten mixed reactions. Sometimes engineers are part of them, sometimes they're not. But usually, the operations manager, he's the one that takes the lead on that, and all those special requests were already put into place normally weeks ago.
Okay, not a problem.
So, again, I can't really speak on the behalf of Neiman's, but it kind of really falls onto the project management team internally. We just go based on the rules they give us. So they tell us, hey, you know what, part of the call flow needs to be that we have a separate option for the restaurant, and that restaurant is also going to have a separate schedule. Can it be done? Yeah, without a doubt. We can create multiple, we can create
And we can do
schedule
that.
for every location.
We might be able to do that later.
If they came back to tell you guys, it is possible. Is it going to be fun for you guys? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the key thing, and this is, actually, let me show this to you
I
guys.
think I take it to the help desk, but don't worry about it.
I would definitely agree with you on that one, Richard, because one of the key things, and I really doubted, based on the information you all are telling me, I really doubted that they shared this with you, but there is a call flow chart that works as pretty much as a map to navigate, like, okay, how is it set up? Let me see if I can show you an example, Mitch.
I did want to know how we would set up our out of office. Oh,
Your out of office
the console diagram.
voice message.
Yes.
Actually, it's done through the voicemail system. So once you have your phone, what you'll do, you'll dial *123. That'll get you over to the message center. It's going to prompt you for your temporary PIN number. Temporary PIN number will be your extension. You'll first be prompted to enter your new your new PIN number. Enter that, and then you'll have the option. Do you want to use a standardized greeting? Do you want a customized greeting? Your out of office, your extended out of office. All of those options are built into the voicemail system itself, and it's done directly through the phone itself. Now, do you have to be in front of your hardware? What if you want to do it tonight at home, where you have a little, peace and quiet? You can do so. What you're going to do, you're going to dial your entire telephone number, area code first, 7-digit telephone number. As soon as you hear the message saying you've reached a voicemail or you've reached a number which voicemail has not been set up, press *, enter your extension, the 4-digit PIN, press #, and then you can go in there and reset all that stuff. So you will be able to do that. And here is that call flow diagram I was talking about. This will work.
I can retrieve voicemail that way too then.
Yeah, definitely. You can check it from anywhere. And remember, you also have the access to the website. So if you gentlemen, based on what you guys are telling me, you'll probably be on vacation. They're going to ask you to check something out. You can always, like I said, any internet-connected device. You have an iPad, do it from an iPad, Mac, PC, doesn't matter. As long as you have internet connection, you'll be able to access our website, and you'll be able to manage the portal from there. And again, knock on wood, hopefully it won't make you do any of that stuff, but you could. So this is where I mentioned this is probably going to be a crucial part. If they ever say, guys, you're gonna have to fix this part of the call flow. This is the first thing you need to ask for. Okay, fine. Where's the diagram? Because if you try to go there and reverse engineering, let's just say option number 9 is the restaurant. Okay, fine. I know option number 9 is the restaurant, but how does it branch out? You see here, this would be a perfect example of what you mentioned. So if somebody calls the main line for Neiman, all right, cool. It'll go through there, and one of the options would be restaurant, option number 9. So they press 9, and then an auto attendant or that automated system will play for the restaurant hours. So then when you hear Neiman Restaurant today will be open from noon to 4 p.m. And then any other options that might drop from there. But it doesn't interfere with the automated system for the rest of the store. So the store hours are over here, the restaurant hours will be listed over here when they choose the restaurant option.
Well, I'm saying, you could just call right now and go call straight to the restaurant
So what happens is
without going through our mainframe.
exactly. So they bypass this option, but if that number is tied into an auto attendant, it would drop in here. So this is
Okay.
where you call into, and then it would go from there. As long as it's been set up that way.
Sure.
That's the one thing. So is it possible?
I'm sure someone thought of that and did that already.
Knock on wood. You guys have been giving me some scary stuff here, but yeah.
We'll have to test it out.
It is.
Don't do that.
I'm gonna call your restaurant tomorrow.
It is possible. It is without a doubt possible. So
Okay, so but there's a possibility, and someone could fix it later.
So these are the biggies when it comes to some of the management piece on the call flow. Outside of the hours, let's take a look at this. The only other options, and let me ask you this, gentlemen, are you okay with the voice, or is the GM and the ops manager okay with the voice of the gentleman over in Dallas who does all the recordings, or is there somebody who does recordings here in-house? Okay.
We would not be the people to ask that question to.
The only reason I ask that is because I know in North Carolina, over in Charlotte, they weren't so happy with the Yankee voice. They wanted a southern accent to it, so they had a young lady over in Charlotte do all the voice recordings, and the engineer was like, I have to do all that. I was like, oof, that is not fun. That's the only story I've heard that from. Everybody else are like, no, they're perfectly fine. They know the gentleman out in Dallas who does all the recordings.
I have no idea.
Well,
That's
the
the
good
GM.
sign. That's a good sign. Hopefully, it means that nobody is going to want any special here. But if there is a need for a recording, that's where you're going to work with our team. Tomorrow, the UCAS consultant, the gentleman that's going to be here, or young lady, I'm not sure who's coming here yet, if they tell you guys, oh, we want somebody with a Southern California accent. Apparently, we have accents. I didn't know that. But and they tell you that, then that's not something you manage. You just say, all right, not a problem. Let me get you guys over to Fuse, or reach out to Fuse, and they can take care of it. They'll have a number they call into. They record the message over that number, and they'll load it on the back end. So that's just to save you guys some headaches. Again, only the Charlotte location is the only one that's brought that up to me. No other locations brought that up to me.
Okay.
All right, let's take a look at what else we have for you here. All right.
We got a book for a diagnostic book for the telephones themselves, because they're mechanical. So this usually comes with a book explaining to you how to,
To my knowledge, nothing outside of the user guide. To be quite honest with you,
will we receive a user guides for the phones
They should be in the box unless they're throwing all the stuff outside the box.
to the engineers?
Because I know they, Mike went and printed this out, like, for example, for the RF phone. There's that. That's the big one. Here's a little pocket one. That's one
These
I
are
keep
for
those.
the little phones.
For the RF, yep.
We got one of these
Something
right
like
here.
that should be available as well for the big ones, the Polycom 310s and the 500s.
Because people lock it into forwarding, and then they're like, how do I stop that? And that's our job to come up and figure out how to stop
I'll
that
show you
for
that
them.
stuff. That's how we're going to wrap things up. I'm going to give you a quick little crash course on both the devices.
Okay.
Actually, before I move on out of this, based on what you currently have, are you gentlemen ever asked to do anything to the call flow system or anything like that? Is that just something that gets taken care of at headquarters?
You mean for the messages?
Correct.
No, I don't think so.
No, not so far.
So then I'm not going to bombard you with things that you're not going to use. Let's dive into the phones. So with the phones, the biggest difference between the 310 device, which is this one over here, and the 500 device, these are going to be the monochrome black and white display, color display with the touch screen. So that one does use a touch
So
screen.
that's a 310
That is a 310
and a 500.
and a 500.
And what did you say the main difference is? Touchscreen over there?
Touchscreen with the color display over here. Other than that, the majority of the transactions that we're going to talk about are pretty much done the same. Same thing applies to the RF phone. The RF phone is going to be closer to the, it's kind of a hybrid really, because it has a color screen, but it's not touch. It uses the little navigation control in the center of it, kind of like our old school cell phones. Very similar to that, so not too different. So let's take a look at, we're going to start off with the 310, but I'll let you know what the differences are. Try to kill two birds with one stone here. All right, big changes. These are the things that are right off the bat are going to change. 1, 9 is no longer needed to get an outside line. The 1 is no longer needed in front of the area code. So all your callers, here's the stuff for 310, and here's the stuff for 500.
Okay.
500.
Thank you.
Sure. So those are some of the big ones.
You don't have a copy of that. What's changing? Is that on here somewhere?
Don't believe so, but I can actually send you a copy of this presentation.
That'd be great if you could do that.
Appreciate
Yeah, that would be very
I'll
nice.
give you guys a color one version of this one. Yeah, I can definitely do that. That's not an issue at all. All right. So that's the first biggie.
So no.
No
wait,
9,
Number 9.
no 1.
Oh, yeah, it's right here. Yeah, no 9, no 1. Okay.
All right.
For any of the executives or any of the managers that do need the long distance or currently are using long distance, they have to use a PIN number, they have to call into a number to set up a long distance call, no more. The only catch to it is that only certain phones, certain profiles will have access to the long distance. That's the one catch.
We control that.
Is well through the administrative portal. Yeah. So if somebody comes and tells you, yeah,
Got
we
it.
want long distance, then you can go in there and click it. But of course, I would say, all right, well, talk to the ops manager.
Yeah.
Once you hear it straight from the horse's mouth, then go with it. But again, remember, premium. Premium is the one that actually would cost any additional charges to Neiman Marcus. The long distance is part of the bundle.
So do you think the way you guys have set it up already, premium's probably unchecked, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is good. Yeah, okay.
We'll go in there.
What,
and play with it.
so now I noticed that on there you say number 8. We used to use that to get to the other stores, right? Our
Yeah,
tie line.
tie lines
So
are
that's gone.
Thailand's are gone.
So to get to the other store, what do we do now?
2 different ways. I'm going to tell you both options. And you're going to notice here that it says you're able to dial the area code and the 7-digit telephone number. So that means if you were to call the Honolulu location,
Okay.
it would be 808 and the telephone number. That's one way to do it. But before I get into that, let me talk about one of the other big changes. We'll spend a little time with the stores because, like I said, there's 2 different ways, and I'll just save you guys some headaches.
Okay,
But
good.
dialing internally, some of the things that have really changed, and it comes over to this document as well. Again, if you guys want to keep this, it's up to you. I know you probably won't be using it, but everything before, like if they wanted to get a hold of the credit department, the service desk, gift cards, assistance, it was pound and the 3-digit code. Pound has now been converted to an asterisk, the star. So if somebody says, I can't reach out to American Express and I'm dialing star or pound 160, you're dialing pound. You need to dial star. So it's star 160, star 111 for e-care, star
So
140
people
for
have
server
all these
desk.
in that.
The shortcuts, yeah.
So all of that still works. The big difference is that it's now
A star.
star versus the pound.
Okay.
All right, so coming back to your question, the store dialing. So the way the store dialing works, one, you can either dial the telephone number, area code first, any of the stores, no problem.
Say I want to reach Beverly Hills.
So Beverly Hills, let's say for example, what we have here, so that would be 310 and the rest of the number.
What?
Yep. Beverly Hills,
Yeah, they're 310.
310-550-5900. That's how you would reach out to Beverly Hills. Now,
550. So it's not their store number.
well, and here's where I said let's backtrack on that one a little bit. You also have what Neiman calls the Oracle codes, the Oracle code combination. Now, here's the catch-22 to this. Oracle codes still work, and they're going to work something like this. So if you wanted to reach out to Beverly Hills, it would be 1010, and then the 4 zeros, and that'll get you over to customer service. So 1010 quadruple zero. If you know the party's extension, let's just say you're trying to reach their GM and you know their extension is 1100, it would be 1010 1100. Here's where I say be careful with this. The Oracle code or the speed dialing codes will only work if they've already converted their system to Fuse. Here's an example. You try to reach the Las Vegas store. Las Vegas went live last week. No problem. Use the Oracle code. So let's see, where do we have Las Vegas?
Yeah. Oh, that's
There
this
we go,
one.
Las Vegas. So if you were to reach Las Vegas from these phones, you would dial 1015 quadruple zero to get to service. If you know the engineer's number there, Jeff's number, coincidentally he grew up in this area, it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
So 1015 and his extension, and you would get to him because they're on Fuse. But Neiman owes me an updated list on this sheet because there's no way to tell which stores have gone to Fuse, which stores have not gone to Fuse. The ones I can tell you that I've been a part of, Roosevelt Field, Walnut Creek, California, Northern California, Charlotte, North Carolina, Las Vegas, and you all here in Woodland Hills. So that is the catch to it. So if you try to reach out to Newport Beach hasn't gone live yet.
Correct. But everyone that does go live is going to go to Fuse.
Then, yep, and you can use the speed dial code or that Oracle code.
And you should be done before the year is up, right?
Nope. I can that one I can honestly tell you no. I think the target date is like middle of next year.
Do you know if any of
That's not bad.
our other stores on the West Coast will be done soon? You got that schedule or no?
I have a provisional schedule. I'm gonna say the West Coast is gonna be hit heavy. They're averaging about a store a week now. Like I said, last week I was out in Nevada. This week I'm out here. The week before that I was out in Walnut Creek. So they're moving pretty fast. But like I said, I've already seen schedules change because this project's been going on for, let's say, close to about a year and a half now. And they started with the last call stores, I believe they're called.
Yeah, I think the block's already done. That's in the city of Orange out here.
Okay.
And I could have sworn they've been turned over already, you know, to the
Is the
system.
block, is that one of the last call stores?
Yeah,
Or is that,
yeah.
yeah.
Then-
The last call stores were used kind of like as the pilot groups. So they tested out the last call stores and then they're like, okay, everything seems good, and now let's move on to the full line stores. So the full line stores are the ones that are still pending.
So tell me this,
Yes, sir.
if we don't have an engineer in our last call stores, that would be me and Kyle. We go to all the last call stores.
Okay.
So if we had a phone issue there, are we going to get logins to those locations?
You know what? That's a great question. Let me follow up with that because that's the first time I've ever heard of that.
Yeah, and our last calls don't have any engineers whatsoever. So there's two of us right now that travel to take care of the last call stores.
Okay.
We would need the same access that you're going to give me to. Put it this way,
So the
I'll probably need the same to like 9 locations.
You know, I will bring that up to Yolanda Evans. She's a project manager.
Okay.
Have you all worked with Yolanda before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll bring that up to Miss Evans.
Yeah, tell her we would need access. There's probably 2 of us that need access to 9 locations. We've got 4. We've got West Coast, and then the 4. Yeah, probably 9. All our locations in Southern California. 4 last call, 4 full line, and 1 service center.
Okay.
And we would need to be able to log in to each one of those
Alright.
to make changes. We did need an administrator to each one of those
Yep, to
locations.
the portal access.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad that came up because
that's a really good
there
question.
is no one else.
I will.
And some of the guys there probably wouldn't know how to do it.
No, I will
Someone call
recap.
help desk.
Call help desk, yeah.
That'll be fine.
They could do that,
Yeah,
but yeah, if you could find that out for me,
I
that'd be
will
great.
recap for that. All right, so yeah, that's how it's going to work. So eventually, you will all be able to use those Oracle codes to be dialed. But in the meantime, 7-digit telephone number.
So starting, these codes won't work unless you're already on the Fuse
On the
system.
Fuse system.
So after today, Richard will be able to use whatever stores are working, right?
Whatever stores are
Like,
working.
let's say you want to dial the last call, like the block I told you tomorrow, you could dial that 2214 and the 4 zeros,
Exactly.
and he could get to the operator there.
Same thing, like I said, for a fact, I know Las Vegas because that's where I just came from. So
Yeah.
same thing, if you need to reach out to Las Vegas, you can do that. That's
Okay.
no problem.
Okay,
So that is how that will work.
all right. Oh, there's the phone.
Yep,
All right.
this is the Polycom VVX300. This is the black and white screen. Biggest difference, like I said, besides the color screen, it's also non-touch. So since it's non-touch, you're going to be using this little what we call a navigational control wheel.
Okay,
You'll have 4 arrows up, down, left, right, and the select button there in the middle to move around. Other than that, everything, and well, we're going to train the rest of the end users today, management, team leads, and all that. Best way to explain this phone, don't think of it as a desk phone, think of it as a cell phone. And the reason why, all of these phones are running a version of the Android operating system. If you think of this like, all right, what do I do with my cell phone? I have to do everything based off the screen. Exact same thing with these. Everything you're doing, you have to pay attention to the screen, how to control it. If I want to transfer a call, where's the transfer option? It's on the screen. The only difference with this one, since it's not a touchscreen, I'm going to press the buttons that are associated to those options below. So what I mean by that, well, if I wanted to forward a call, well, there's a forwarding option. You talked about how does somebody go into the forwarding. All right, just press the forward option. You'll go in there, you'll take a look at it. You want to start a new call? Well, there's different ways of doing it. Pick up the phone, dial the number first, press the new call option, whatever works out best for you. That's the one nice thing about this. It's not going to be a one-size-fits-all, one way does it for everybody.
And how would we reset the phone? You know, like I said, it's forwarding calls to this one's forwarding calls to over there, and it's not ringing all of a sudden. Isn't there like a master reset?
You can actually go into the options of the device. You go to options, basic, and reset. Easiest way to do it, unplug it. Unplug the Ethernet cord, leave it off for about 5 minutes, and that'll reset it.
That's good to know.
yeah.
One of the best troubleshooting steps for any device is what we call a soft reset. Just plug.
Turn it off, turn it back on again.
But-
You don't know how many IT teams I've dealt with. They're like the very first thing. It's how long has the phone been powered off?
Yeah. So, question: after you unplug it and reset it, the person's still programmed to that phone. All the other stuff
Oh,
is
yeah,
still
yeah,
the same.
definitely.
It's just whatever they had done to that phone, whatever with the buttons will
Just
get
go back to the
reset.
original position.
Go original default.
No,
Okay.
no, definitely. You can do the hard reset where it wipes out all the options. Just go into, like I said, you go into the settings, you go into the basic settings, and then you'll have the reset
Yeah.
capabilities. You'll be
But
able to do it.
unplugging
that
is just as easy.
soft reset, yeah.
Yeah, soft reset.
That's what
just-
we want.
The nice thing is that it's one cable. These are
Yeah.
power over Ethernet. So it doesn't even have a power cable or anything. It's one cable for it all. So unplug the Ethernet cord, that shuts it off.
Yeah.
That's it. Power back on. plug
And
it
these
in.
are plugged in through our through computers, through desktop units.
No, they're actually plugged in straight into the Ethernet jacks.
I understand, but in every office,
Mhm.
they'll be plugged in because the computer would be using the Ethernet jack already.
Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, it's going through the same.
And actually,
Well, they're using the dongles now, right?
next to every computer, the Internet jack has been disconnected.
That was part of the update that we're doing to the network.
And then we were all put onto a little dongle.
You're right. Now the
To reach the
phones
internet.
get- you know where we used to plug in with our computers?
Right.
They went to Wi-Fi now, right? So that port is available for the phone.
It's available, but they don't work.
They don't use it.
And
Someone
I know-
disconnected them from the switch.
Okay. And I guess that's all part of the update that
Yeah,
Catherine
I'm-
and team were.
I'm sure they got that.
Yeah, I'm sure they're working
Yeah,
now.
because without an Ethernet
Yeah, there's
connection,
no way.
there's nothing to do.
They told me they're just going to plug into the back of the computers. I go, oh, so they'll just be Wi-Fi'd. Like the computer.
We'll have to go look at one up there and see. They got them installed already upstairs?
No. Tonight.
No, that's
Richard will have to let me know.
Oh, Richard, were you the lucky recipient of being here till 3 a.m. in the morning tonight?
No.
Or this morning?
What about So are you probably gonna do most of our stores on the West Coast, do you think? The training?
It is. There's a West Coast trainer and there's an East Coast trainer. So the East Coast trainer is based out of Chicago. He's doing all that stuff. But
Well, I'll probably see you 3 more times then.
well, at least I have a face.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, yeah.
At least the guy in Fashion Island, he'll want me there. The guys in Beverly Hills, they're on their own. They got 2 guys.
No, from my understanding, at least, I should be part of the rest of the West Coast department.
Okay,
just when myself or my counterpart go on vacation or something like that, and
Yeah.
that's when I've gone. Because he was on vacation, so I ended up going out to North Carolina.
Okay.
But I'll stick to West Coast weather. That humidity out there was killer.
Yeah. I'm just asking in case I had other questions down the line or something.
No,
but
definitely.
everything looks pretty good so far. But
No, like I said, gentlemen, a lot of this stuff is more just to get you familiar with it. I've yet to see the closest to craziness was out there in North Carolina, but they're a unique store, can I say? So I know they were taking care of that, but so far, biggest things I can tell you that I've seen on the go live day. Hey, this line is showing up under this name when I call it out. Go
so
in there and
wrong
just change
names,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that just kind of came down the line. Like I know one of the engineers I was working with, they said like, or what was it? I think it was in Vegas. They said that the old system, it was set up. He never got access to any of the administrative capabilities, so they had personnel names from the grand opening of the store, which is never updated.
No.
So yeah, that'll probably be the biggest obstacle you'll get. Yes, Richard.
The new RF phones.
Yes, sir.
If the chargers are they connected to the charger?
To the Ethernet jacks.
Yeah.
Actually, they're all Wi-Fi. From my understanding, unless they have a different setup here at the store. But no, they're all Wi-Fi. And another question that I get asked when it comes to the RF phones, okay, well, what if I take it to the food court for lunch?
Then it shouldn't work.
Yeah, it should not work.
No, it shouldn't work.
No.
We don't want to work there.
No. So that's the.
They're hooked onto our
for
network.
lunch.
Yeah. Well, you'd be surprised. I get asked that question. I guess just to clarify, and it depends on your Wi-Fi strength. I know sometimes a couple feet outside of the store, you're good to go.
I don't want it to work. If I've left the store, I'm out of the store. And so how do I connect this to receive the calls while I'm working?
Your iPhone?
Yes.
It's call forwarding. It's call forwarding from your device. Now, you brought up a very interesting point. You said while I'm working. So let's say, for example, do you gentlemen know which one of these phones you're going to get, the 300 or the 500? 500. Okay, 500. So let me switch it up to the 500. That way, since this is going to be a little bit more.
Getting a 500, you getting 1 or 2 in there?
One. No, 2. It was Kyle's phone. We'll get 1.
Yeah. You've already ordered it that way, or is that
No,
the way
they'll replace the phone with what you have. Our phones have full access to everything.
Yeah.
That's the 500. The limited access is, other places like in here,
Yeah.
which I guess they're not going to give us one of those again. A polyphone, or as I call it, the Star Trek phone. So I'm not sure what they'll do for conference calls.
So what about the phones out on the floor? Are they all labeled already, like by department or something, the way they were? None of those names changed, right?
None of that changed, and in theory they're going to keep all the call groups together. So they can still star 1
Star 8.
to pull a call from someone else's phone.
Oh, that's good to know.
Star 8. It's on the sheet as well.
All right, thanks. No, that's good to know. Star 8
1.
will now.
Be sorry.
Star 8 will get others.
And pound 3,
What was pound 3 used for?
it reset the phone.
I've never even heard of that one.
Yeah, what would happen, like, let's say someone actually hit the wrong button, it would be forwarding the calls after 1 ring. It was called Star 3 at one time, and
Right.
then
There's a star 1, star 2, star 3, pound 1, pound 2, and pound 3 right now.
No, the only thing that is being used from that is just this one. Just bring this up here. Yeah, instead of the star 1, it's star H to pick up from another department. But as far as the other ones are concerned, no, those aren't available. So if the call forwarding needs to be turned on or off, you actually have to go into the physical menu. So
Do you know then what we're gonna need to do if?
No, I meant on the phones, the analog phones.
right. Oh, on the analog phones,
You can't go into anything.
No. Well, let me follow up with that on Yolanda. I'll get you guys an answer to that one. I forgot the sales
What was
for.
Star 8 for these?
I guess Star 8's for these, but what about the analog
No,
phones?
the same thing. Sorry, that one will work. But I'm talking about those other codes you were talking about. That used to be pound
Oh,
3.
pound, and yeah, there's
Which
3
we
of them.
use on the analog phones.
Right, that's what I want to find out.
Right.
So pound 3 was used for call
Reset.
forwarding.
Soft
Reset.
reset.
Okay, pound 3 for soft reset.
There was a pound 1 and a pound 2. They were used for some of it.
Yeah, I
We use them
can't
so
remember.
rarely.
Yeah.
I have it written down somewhere, but they're 4.
I'll find out. I'll shoot a quick email over to her in between classes.
Can analog phones now call out?
Yeah.
They can call
Unless they.
Mexico.
Well, that would be part of the international. Like I said, I know in Las Vegas that was one of the things.
Yeah.
They had it turned off, but it can always be turned back on. So is that something you're?
I'm just worried about the phones on the floor. When a customer, our fitting rooms have phones.
Oh, okay.
When the customer picks up going, call my mom in Iran, how you doing?
Yeah.
I mean,
Usually, at least from my experience, they've mirrored everything that they had previously. So I know
you need a code to call out.
before it was a code, so therefore the phone didn't have the option. So if it didn't have the option, you didn't have to do it. So again, using the example from Las Vegas last week, the sales floor didn't have international long distance, so they needed to call that number, use a PIN code, all that stuff. If that's the case, then that means the phones are still restricted. If the phone does need the capability, you can turn it on and it would be a direct dial. So if they're calling Mexico, it would be the 011, if they're calling the UK 011 and the rest of the telephone number, all that stuff. They use regular international dialing. But if the unit or outside, non-Polycom, it should be the same thing. If they were restricted, they're still restricted. That means they need to go through theirs.
I'm saying everyone was restricted. Everyone had to have a PIN
That's what I'm saying.
dial out.
So that means they never had